Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Geeks Reads. Today I want to talk about Defender by C.J. Cherryh, and an image of which you will see here. Um, um, so, this is the sequel to Precursor, the second book in the second Foreigner trilogy. So, there'll be some minor spoilers for the previous book and so on and so forth. Not too many. After the last book, after the attempted, I guess you'd call it, coup of one of the four captains of the Phoenix, and subsequent preventing of that by both Brent Cameron and the Attiva on the station. It's been a couple years since then. They've got a couple shuttles up and running back and forth up to the station. The Attiva have their own presence on the station. They have, they're co-running the station, although I can't remember if they've actually taken ownership of it or if they're sharing the station. But I mean, it is an orbit above their planet. The inevitable plan is for them to take control of it because it does orbit their planet, despite the fact that it hadn't been built by the humans initially when they arrived. We have learned in one of the previous books that the reason the Phoenix came back is because they had built the station, a second station in another solar system out there. They'd encountered other aliens who had destroyed the station. Captain Ramirez, his health not being in the best of shape since the coup, passes away. And before he dies, he makes a statement to the effect that the station wasn't destroyed. They left people behind. And between traveling back from that station to the homeworld of the Attiva, and the rebuilding of shuttles and, getting the station back up and running and refueling, it's been over a decade. And these people have been trapped, stranded on that station for 10 years. And when the crew finds out about this, they are not pleased. They essentially threaten to mutiny if they do not do a rescue mission. To that end, Tabini, head of the Ashidat, sends Brent Cameron and his grandmother, Ilisidi, and his 8-year-old son, Kajiri, with the starship to the station. Tabini is entrusting Brent's skill as the translator between human and Attiva to help smooth over the diplomatic situation back at the station. If there is contact with the other alien race, that perhaps they can find a way to communicate, and Brent, as a skilled negotiator, can perhaps do something about this. That is the general gist of the book. Although there is more to it than that. As usual, anything with the Attiva and Ilisidi in particular, the Aiji Dowager, anything with the Dowager in it involves a lot of politics. And as I have mentioned previously, Ilisidi is a force of nature. She is not someone to cross, and she is a force to be reckoned with. And with her on a spaceship with a bunch of humans, Bren is completely sidelined by this. He does because this agreement was negotiated without him. He has apparently been going behind Brent Cameron's back using one of the other humans who had been trained to speak Attiva language to negotiate with the captain. Bren's coming, his grandmother coming, and whatever staff they bring with them. So I very much enjoyed that, having the Attiva essentially declare their own presence on the station and declaring their presence on the spaceship. And I always like anything to do with Ilisidi. I've mentioned it in the previous books. ever since she was first introduced in the very first novel. She she just tickles me. I really, really love her as a character. Um, this this tiny old battle axe of a woman who is probably the second most powerful person politically on the entire planet, and that's not by much. As I said, she's a force to be reckoned with. Um, I've enjoyed all the books in the Foreigner series. I think of the I'm really not sure where I would rate this in the I've got 9 books of the series so far. I know that there's more than that. I just 15, 18. She does trilogies. C.J. Cherryh does. So I think I enjoy the second trilogy as much as I enjoyed the first, and maybe a little bit more. The first book is still my favorite. But the second and third books slowed the pace down a little bit. I think the second trilogy, both Precursor and Defender, pick the tempo back up a little bit to where I'm enjoying these books. I've read, well, I just finished. I mean, not knowing how far the series went, I only got introduced to I started reading the third trilogy about a year or two ago. So I'm a bit out of touch with the series, but I've read the first 6 books individually, each at least 3 or 4 times. First book I know I've read at least half a dozen times, if not more. So this is one of my favorite book series, the Foreigner series by C.J. Cherryh. These are, as always, what is it? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Not anthropological. I'm losing the term. They're basically political thrillers, but they're also a study in. I'm losing the term. I'll get it as soon as I shut the damn recording off. Anyway, political thrillers, analyzing interpersonal relationships as well. So, love the series, love these books. If the idea of a sci-fi political thriller intrigues you, as I've mentioned with the other books, I highly recommend them. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.